Yeah, I don't usually stream on Wednesdays, so that's already the first big shock surprise indicator of this. It depends on who shows up. I'll get into what I want to talk about if the right characters make an appearance. I was going to try to finish the newest romance video last night. I just didn't feel like it because of some stuff from yesterday. Yeah, a lot of these things can just be like they're little minor irritations by themselves, where they just start piling up on you. When I saw that video title, I clicked instantly. Yeah, I'd say the period of this past Sunday to yesterday was just really ridiculous. And it's like, I expect just certain stuff to happen during the day that, irritates me, because just things happen, right? But it was like just this quick, rapid succession of awful crap that kept occurring. It's like, really? Over and over again? So I'm just trying to see if we can get another character to appear non-binary because I don't really feel like repeating myself because you know how people are, they can never just replay the part that they came at. They have to they need you to give them a recap like they're watching a Dragon Ball episode. Last time on Justin Dissinger's channel, he made a stream called Three Bad Days, and someone clicked it and they didn't know what happened, so they asked him to tell us what's going on. 30 minutes ago, he said. It's just, I'm just tired of it. Hmm. Yesterday was probably the worst I've had all year. Like, if I were to put them like make a those tier list of days or like just tier list in general where they rate things and they talk about which ones were good, which ones were bad. That was definitely bad. That was I could make an argument for being the worst day of the year. So I don't say that with some great pleasure. It's just it's really tiring to have a lot of stuff happen. We watched the three Broly movies. I mean three, there's four of them now. If you count the one from Super. That's what kind of annoyed me is like you guys give four movies to a Saiyan who already had a whole trilogy, but then I can't get a second one with Janemba or whatever. And now people are celebrating and jumping around for that new movie that apparently has been announced. I don't even take them seriously anymore, those channels, because if you listen to them, we're getting. There's this one guy who said the super anime is coming back in October. What was it? It was July of 2019. Then it was October. Then it was like January or February. It just kept going over and over. He couldn't pick a date, so he eventually just stopped saying that it was coming back and started just making videos where he recaps the plot of the show, which I always hate those videos because I don't know why people can't just watch the show to know what happened in the show. I don't know why somebody I need to watch somebody explain to me what occurred in this series that I claim to be a fan of because Super isn't accurate to Broly in the manga. Well, Broly isn't in the manga, not the original one anyway. He's in a page of the Super manga. They skip over the movie's events. That was my favorite part about the manga that they take the Resurrection F movie and make it a little text box before they go to the Universe 6 tournament, and then they make the Broly movie like one page. They do not care. Let me see what else is here. Yeah, that's my favorite part of the. I'd say the manga's got another chapter coming out tomorrow. I'm probably not going to read it unless some of the other characters pop up. Um, People have been making videos about how good they think it is. I'm just like, whatever. Again, every time I go and look up this chapter summaries, it's just Goku and Vegeta over and over again every year, every season, every arc, the same thing over and over. You know, fans like that. His character was just wasted potential. Yeah, I would have rather they made an arc using him. Yeah, Cell was my favorite of the villains from Z. I don't know why we have Frieza come back. What is it, 4 or 5 times, but Cell can't come back once. It's foolishness. It'll be really interesting if they had like a story where he kidnapped Pan and then go on it to start training again. It was a breath of fresh air to see another Saiyan besides Goku and Vegeta. Yeah, but to me, it's like you guys like they don't use the other Saiyans that they have. Like I don't know why Super couldn't have had Vegeta and Kid Trunks actually spend time together. It's like they live together, and you see Vegeta hang out more with his rival, this person that he apparently didn't like until years and years after meeting him. I thought that was such a waste. So Trunks is forever two characters, or one where the future one is really popular, and then the other one is just Goten's butt buddy, our part one of Gotenks. It's stupid. That's why I said they have a lot of good characters and like things they could do with them that are really interesting, and they just don't do it. I mean, it's just like the thing with Vegito and Merge Zamasu. You have a fusion villain fight a fusion hero, and then you just unfuse them so we can have a plot that drags itself out more. I get so tired of seeing them. Goku is a boring character, and Vegeta is insufferably self-righteous, despite the fact that he gets his butt kicked all the time. Yeah, I don't really understand why they don't like, and it sucks because again, they can do interesting things with those characters if they use the other ones, but they refuse to do so. Like, wouldn't it be more interesting instead of seeing Vegeta just keep getting smacked around by whoever the new villain is, actually spend time with his son and see the two of them fight together as father and son? We've never had that before, other than in like little segments of GT where it was Vegeta and the present Trunks as a team fighting together. You know, he has to be Goku's butt buddy. He has to spend months with Goku. They have to be together at all times. They're connected at the hip. Yeah, I'd like to see some of the Universe 6 Saiyans interact with the ones from Universe 7. Just really anybody from Universe 7. You know, it would be interesting to see Vegeta train with Kaba as he said he would do. But that's why I was eventually going to do a video on why Kaba was wasted. Just you have this character that had a like pretty good dynamic with Vegeta, and then you do nothing with him until the second tournament. But then we're expected to care when something happens to him, even though we've spent very little time with him, because the show is it's not written with any kind of overarching story. It's just episode by episode they come up with this stuff. Like, hey, remember when this happened? It's like, yeah, but you didn't do anything after that other than bring it up just now. Like, you could watch the entire Future Trunks arc and you don't see Vegeta mention Kaba at all, how he wants to train him and just nothing. And it sucks because if they wanted to have some connective tissue, they could have just had Vegeta suggest getting Kaba to fight with them against the Goku Black and Zamasu, and then whether Kaba actually helped them win or didn't or not, you could still see that he was interested in him as a fighter instead of just let me deal with this other stuff and oh yeah, that person that I was going to train that I never got around to because the writers on this show don't know what they're doing. People on here act like you're crazy if you say you want them to do something different ever. Like, hey, maybe we get an arc where Vegeta actually spends time with his wife. The one that he supposedly became romantically involved with over the time skip between the start of the Cell arc and we just they go from barely speaking to each other to then being a couple or being broken up but having a kid together and then being married after the 7-year time skip. That's always why romance in that series annoyed me. Just every person that falls in love, it's always some time skip that it occurs over. Two people barely interact, time skip, they're married, or they have a kid together. I was saying they could easily do a whole arc where it's just the two of them interacting. You have this genius with this one of the strongest fighters on earth. It is what it is, though. I'm glad, at least for the new villain in the manga, they're finally doing someone that isn't just immensely powerful. And I guess I'm not like the reason I'm not excited for him is because a lot of the problems I had with the start of the Moro arc are already starting to kind of show themselves. You have a villain that is relying more on their intellect than their fighting ability. And then it looks like they're just going to get a power boost and become like every other villain, where they become stronger and can now be, you know, able to fight on par with the protagonist. So I hope they do something different. I hope they use the other characters. But it's been again like 5 or 6 months just Goku and Vegeta. Got smacked around by Broly, who was only in base form. Well, that's why I don't like those transformations. If you're still going to have opponents who can defeat the uh, the two characters that use these new forms without transforming themselves, I don't really see that. It's kind of like with Ultra Instinct. Like if it can just get smacked around by what Jiren, I just to me it seems like a joke. That's why all the forms start just barely meaning anything anymore. It really does start to feel like it's just a hair color change. Like it doesn't have any impact on the story because even when they use those forms, they still get smacked. Like in Super Saiyan Blue, what did that do other than get used to fight a villain who, if you use the first God, probably would have been able to beat it anyway. I remember when God came out, all of us were so excited. Oh my God, Goku's got red hair. And then when the second one, because I remember Blue first showed up through some toy. There was like merchandise spoiled that form, and people were speculating. I was like, whatever. Let's give all the new forms to the same two characters to make them even stronger than the rest of the cast, even though they already were. Like I said, people really enjoy that stuff. They find it appealing. So it's not up to me to make them look at that and say, hey, maybe this isn't that good. Hey, banana merchant, imagine if I was like that guy I was talking about on Monday. You actually think this show is unironically good? It's like, hell, I mean, if people like it, I'm not going to go and mess with them. He'll say something like that, and then he'll get surprised when people don't like him. He's like, I can't believe this. That's always been my biggest problem with people online. They pick fights with so many people over like the most trivial of stuff. and then they're like shocked when someone else is nasty toward them. Like if you go on Twitter and you say that you like some movie, it could be any movie other than like maybe 10 of them that are just considered, great by everybody. You will really have someone that goes there and tries to argue with you. I'd have to really hate something to just every time somebody says they like it, I'm arguing with them. Because there are a lot of people on Twitter who think Super is good. I don't go on there and bother them. I'm not picking fights in their comment section. You know what I'm saying? It's just really uneven. You should respect other people's opinions while they don't respect yours. That's really fair. There's no imbalance to that. And I really was waiting for some people to show up. I guess we're just gonna have to talk about this without our usual characters. Oh, I don't know where they are. Oh. Well, on Sunday, um, now I told this story about a year ago. I had this table that I have that. Well, I talked about how I had this floor changed in the house, all this different stuff, and basically, when they did this, they had to take certain stuff and move it around and whatnot. Um, they took a desk that I had and on Sunday again, Sunday morning, it all of a sudden it just slams to the floor, this part of the desk. And I find out when I look under it that these people took it apart and never put it back together. They took out the screws from under it. And since I don't have a screwdriver, again, one that can fit that size, I've just kind of been sitting there just annoyed by that. Um, but again, that's like a minor thing that by itself I wouldn't be aggravated enough to talk about in the stream. So for the second occurrence of Sunday, I had about 10 years ago some dental work done, a crown that was put in like the top corner of the backside of my mouth, and I'm just chewing on some chicken, and then all of a sudden the crown comes out. So I have to also now find a new dentist because again I haven't had any issues with dental care in over a decade. So it's more about just being irritated that I have to go look for another doctor because how long it's been since I had any stuff done. Um, I used to do a series of videos about being unemployed, and I did those kind of to show that a lot of times people say someone doesn't want to work, and it's not true because people a lot of times will apply for a bunch of different positions and they'll hear nothing back. Um, so I stopped doing those videos just because I got tired of. I mean, it was the same thing. You just get screenshots of all different places you applied to, hear nothing back, whatever. About a month ago, I get scheduled for 3 interviews in a week, which is the most I've ever had for just of all time, three in one week. And again, I expect it to go the way it usually does. People ask you some questions, you answer them, they smile in your face, or I guess they can't smile because they have the mask on. But they make it seem like you're answering correctly, and then nothing happens. So I go for the third one on a Friday. It's just like whatever. And within I think 2 days of that, within one day of the interview, I get called by the manager who tells me that I've been hired. And when this happens, I'm on cloud nine. I'm celebrating. I'm jumping for joy. It looks like the nightmare is over. But I don't mention it on here because I am by definition a person that is cautious. Um, the way I view this stuff is if something bad has happened to you just over and over, like I would consider not getting hired when you want to be hired a bad thing. Like that's something that's negative toward you. Um, I would that I didn't mention it because I didn't want to get excited and like have it be a public thing that I was hired or like mention it, and then something bad happens later down the line. Um, and look, maybe I'll save this until after I mention what happened on Monday. So I go for before going for my shift. I have this big stomach ache, and I always hate it when I have like some kind of issue physically before going into something, because normally if I just had a regular stomach, I would just sit there on the toilet. But if you're having it and then like within an hour of having to go work somewhere, then you have to rush to get it out. um, but yeah, Monday I do the shift, and then I'm gonna again mention more stuff with this place, because that needs to be just its own segment of the stream. So Tuesday, and again, I don't do videos on voice actors anymore because people are just I expect them to be antagonistic as all hell. Um, there's a person who 2 months ago, and I've been working with this person for over 4 years. Okay, so I had a lot of confidence in them. Every time I would ask them to record something, they would eventually do it. But starting in March, they stopped responding to when I messaged them, asked them about these lines that they were supposed to do. And I ended up having to message them about 6 times in the last, I think, 2 or 3 weeks, for them to finally come out and say yesterday that they were no longer available to do the thing I asked them to do and they had done for years. And said, "Oh, if you need me to go on Discord and ask for a reply," and I didn't respond to that because I was pissed, but I wasn't upset. I was disappointed that the person had quit, again because of how long I'd worked with them, but also more so pissed off because that means for 2 months, as I waited for them to do this stuff that they said they were going to do, or indicated as much that they indicated they would do, they didn't do anything and wasted my time. And that's why when I was thinking of doing a video on this, it was going to be called the voice actor cancer, because a lot of these people are antagonistic to what you're trying to make simply by being on it, where they're not responding to messages, and then they don't have an intent to actually record anything, but for some reason they can't just say, "I don't want to do this anymore," as if you're going to reach through the screen and grab them if they quit. So yeah, I was really pissed off over that. um, and then 2 hours later I get a phone call, and again I'm pissed off over the voice actor thing, because now I have to go and, when I don't have the lines to do this stuff, I can't make it. So I have to go and recast this person along with 2 or 3 other people. Um, and then within 2 hours of that, I get a phone call saying I've been fired. Now let's talk about this position a little bit more. So it's a restaurant, um, and I was there for 9 work days over a period of a month. The first 2 days were me at the computer, so I was answering the different stuff they had on their website. And the first sign of the manager being an idiot was when there was a day between when I was there the first day and when I was there the second day. And in that day, I tried to go on the website and finish the stuff on there from home, and their website crashes. Like it won't load. So I screenshot this and sent it to the manager as proof that, hey, I want to do this stuff that is on your website, but I can't because it's currently down. He gets this message, but then after I get there the next day, he says, "You really need to finish this." And I'm just thinking to myself, dingbat, did you not get the message where I show proof that your own crappy website was down for the entire day? You only did, it's like, yeah, I only did that because that's how much I was able to do before your website went down for the entire day. But anyways, I finished the stuff for the website. The third day is my first one using phones, where people will call in and order stuff, and they have a like whole menu on the computer you have to be able to do. And he tells me on my third day, "Oh, it's very important that you know how to do these calls and answer them, because this is how a lot of our business is conducted." So he's really gassing up how important the phones are, right? So the totality of my third and fourth day there are mostly on the phones. Towards the end of the fourth day, there's a little bit of stuff with preparing some food. That's like this thing they do where they prepare stuff in case the people that work there the next day need supplies. Um, the fifth day is like something out of a horror movie. So the fifth day is my first one in the kitchen, like actually making food and trying to like do certain stuff, such as when they make the food, they have it on this conveyor belt, and you have to grab it off with these two hinges and then put it down, and then cut it up and do whatever other stuff you need to do to it. Um, because I'm not able to do this stuff as quickly as he would like on my first day of doing it, and I also mentioned it in my application. I said I don't have experience with doing this stuff. I told the truth. Um, and because I am unable to do this stuff either as quickly as he would like or correctly after only seeing it done a few times before, at the end of this day, of this fifth day, my first day of doing a bunch of this different stuff, he threatens to fire me. And it's almost like something out of a cartoon because I could understand if someone works somewhere. Again, we're talking, when I say weeks, I'm talking about 10, 15, 20 work days, right? So like you're working each day, Monday through Friday. If someone works somewhere for maybe 3, 4 weeks and they can't do this stuff, I would be more understanding of wanting to get rid of them if they just like show no signs of improving. But if you can't do a series of different things in one day of being shown how to do some of this stuff, you're threatened to get fired. So for the rest of the time that I'm there, it's hard to even like not think about that because now I have a metaphorical target on my back. You have worked there for literally less than 2 weeks, and they're threatening to fire you over your first day of doing this stuff. A lot of this stuff, rather, not going as well as I guess the manager would like, even though he knew before he hired you had no experience with doing this stuff. So the sixth day is like this weird judgment day type thing. Where it's like, oh, if you can't improve next time, we don't. Hey, you know what, Jim? Imagine if I hired you and you send your application. I don't know how to do this stuff, and I say to you, oh, don't worry, Jim, we'll train you. And then on your fifth day, and it's your first one of doing stuff in the kitchen. I am so dissatisfied with your performance that I threaten to fire you after one day of doing that stuff. I just think that's insane. But let me get to the sixth day. So the sixth day is like this weird judgment day where he's like, if you can't do things or improve by this point, da, 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 da. It was actually a pretty decent day in terms of just the fact that he wasn't there, so I didn't feel like I had this monstrosity breathing down my neck. But at the end of it, he seemingly is willing to keep me on because he says, oh, you did this correctly. You need to learn to do this. Da, da, da. I'll see you on Friday. And I'm kind of surprised by this because, yeah, there is too much pressure. Oh, let me also say this. So after I'm scheduled for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. When I come up there on Saturday, and he's asking me to cut this food and take it off the pan and like do this really quickly, right? I'm doing it like really quickly to the point where he compliments me on doing it. But and this is what he says while I'm like cutting this stuff up and like starting to sweat. Oh, don't get nervous. And I'm just thinking to myself, you dingbat, you're the one who threatened to fire me over not being able to do this stuff, in one day of having ever done any of it. And you're surprised I'm nervous. You're telling me not to be worried, to be freaking out, to be petrified. Who the hell wants to get fired? Especially over not being able to do something on their first day of having any experience with it. He really said that. Don't get nervous. You don't have to be nervous. It's like, yes, you do. You put a target on my back after one day of doing any of this crap. Even though it was his job to train you properly. Yeah, that's a joke. But anyways, as he's talking to me, he says something, and this is one of the contradictions, because I told you there's certain lines I remember people saying. And on the seventh day, he says, I don't really need someone who can, or rather, excuse me, it's the eighth day. I'm sorry. The seventh day was Friday, the eighth day is Saturday. He says, I don't really need someone who can do stuff at the cup table or answer telephone calls. I need someone who can run the shop in case I'm out. And I'm just thinking to myself, you dingbat, you're the same person who just got through saying not even 2 weeks ago that the phone calls were the most important, were very important to the point that I had to master them in my first week of being there. And now you've moved the goalposts. You've gone from the phone calls are very important because how a bunch of the business is conducted through this to, oh, now this isn't really that big of a deal. So now I'm just going to get and say that this other thing is important. And that was the biggest problem I had with that place. Like every time you would improve on something, they just complain about something else. And it's not even they, it's just the manager. but you're working around food, food and exerting energy. So of course you're gonna sweat. It's not even just sweating. It's like this is how this works, okay? And Banana, you've seen Spider-Man 3. Um, doing something correctly, but not doing it fast enough, according to them. Even though, again, I don't know who would be fast as the rest of the staff in 1 week. Is Sandman. Doing something fast but incorrectly is Venom. So you got Sandman and Venom double teaming you and smacking you all up the face, and then you're supposed to just survive somehow. Uh, Kuvira, and I'm sorry if I remember the Legend of Korra character because of your name. You'll have to forgive me for that. That's mean as hell to threaten to fire you on your first week. Yeah, that's my point. That it was technically 2 weeks in terms of time, but like actual work days, the fifth day, so 1 week. And again, if you count, if you like discount the fact that those first 4 days were on the phone and like answering stuff on the computer, it was literally my first day of doing any of that stuff in the kitchen. So on the eighth day, um, he tells me that he'll see me on Monday. Even I mentioned my schedule had me booked for Sunday as well, and he says I don't want to see you on Sunday, and I'm fine with that because I mean, hey, I'm not going to argue with these people to get more hours. But I also want to mention this: when you say on your application that you want to work for 40 hours a week, and then you have people who are booking you for 15 or 20, um, this goes back to like when I said I don't see how you can blame me for this because if I tell someone to their face and on my application I want to work for 40 hours a week, and the response by them is to book me maybe for 2 days a week, 3 days a week, and then it's not even a full shift. You see how even when you're very assertive in communicating what you want and they don't care. Holy cow, that's really insane. He was already made privy to you not having any experience to begin with. I think this is an abuse of power, if you ask me. That's really unfortunate. My mother actually got real bent out of shape because I mentioned to her that on the fifth day when like the food was coming off the conveyor belt and I wasn't grabbing it quickly enough, he was like, "Man, move!" and started grabbing the stuff and cutting it up. And it was funny because when I think about the seventh day, or rather, excuse me, the eighth one where I was like actually doing it quicker because another worker that was there had actually helped me. Like that's why I said the other people that worked there were much nicer than he is. Had like allowed me to do it for a little bit, and that's why I was able to do it quicker. And then it's like even when you improve on this stuff to where he notices it, it doesn't matter. So on the ninth day, he's not there. He doesn't get there until the end of my shift. I work from 4 to 9. This is this past Monday. Um, I do, and this goes back to like it doesn't make any sense. I do all of the work I'm asked to do. They show me how to like wash the dishes and like some other cleaning stuff. And it seemingly appears that's why I'm trying to work for myself. Yeah, at least you won't have somebody threaten to fire you after one day of doing stuff that they know you've never known how to do before. But on this day, it looks like it's pretty decent because again, he's not there, and I'm like doing this different stuff, being complimented by some of the workers, and again, I'm being shown how to do certain things I didn't know how to do before. And then the day after that last day where I'm on the schedule and it says come back on, I think it was like Sunday or Monday or something. He tells me I've been fired. So after being there for a month and only having 9 work days, I was threatened to get rid of on if this were actually like a week of just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days as a week, I was technically threatened to get rid of after at the end of my first week. And then ahead of firing you, they barely give you any hours. There was a whole week I didn't work because he canceled on me on both a Sunday and a Monday, and then the next Monday I came over there, and then got tossed out like a old coffee table yesterday. But yeah, I'm noticing a lot of similar rhetoric between people who saw this and then other people who a month ago VVS. And I was gonna make this stream private after I finish it because I already know people will blame me for everything. That really is irrational on the manager's part. I mean, it just kills me because it's like he moves the goalpost. First, the phone calls are very important. You need to learn this. You know how to do the phone calls. Phone calls aren't that important. I need you to learn how to do this cooking crap. And then you try to learn that, and then it's just like what. And you know what really kills me though is that I would feel more bad about there being certain stuff I didn't know how to do if I actually was allowed to be there more often. Like if I worked for, I might say a month, but more than 9 days, and it took, I was like still having trouble with stuff. I would feel more like, oh man, I'm still not able to do this. But you barely give anybody any time to do this stuff, and then or even have them at the actual job, and then you throw them away. And also, I should mention this, they have employees up there who don't know how to do certain things that they keep. They have a guy who, for example, doesn't know how to use the cash register or like answer calls or orders. He just comes there, makes some food, cleans up. Nobody's threatening to get rid of him. I'm not saying they should. I just think it's weird that like you have other people that are there that are allowed to have like certain stuff they can't do, but then you have to be Superman and know how. And by the way, ironically enough, when he was talking about I want someone who can run the store when I'm not here, I ended up finding out that I couldn't. So for example, if someone comes into the store, I can take their order, but I can't actually use the cash register. Oh, it's very strange, Megumi. Like I'm just saying, I couldn't even run the store if I wanted to because they have like only a few people who can actually use the cash register. So you have to enter in one of their codes. I got to memorize somebody else's code to do my job. Um, it just seems really weird, and it's like, what was even the point of that? Like you hire this person, you barely give them any hours, and then you. It's like when you go back to the interview part of this stuff, it makes them seem even more strange. Like why would you ask someone if they have long-term plans, whether that's to go back to school, if they're going to work there for months or years, possibly, if you're just going to get rid of them after 9 days? And then it's like you threaten to get rid of someone on the fifth day. They seemingly, according to you, improve on the sixth one, and then you get rid of them 3 days later anyway, after a whole week of not scheduling them to work. Again, like it doesn't make any sense. Any way you spin it. So I'm so tired of these places. It was this VVS. Yeah, my first job was a place that barely gave me any hours, even after I asked for 40 a week. That said they would train me, but then threatened to fire me after one day of not being able to do things that they knew I wasn't able to do. Uh, I mean, it's just ridiculous. Whatever. Places are run by clowns. And I remember I had the same relative. Don't make sure you don't curse anybody out. Make sure you don't. It's like, why would I do that? The rest of the employees didn't do anything to me. It's the manager who put a target on my back after what a week's worth of days of working there. Yeah, just exactly how I lost my job at the beginning of the pandemic. I don't understand the point of this. Like, why would you like? What's the point of hiring somebody if you're barely going to give them any hours, and then act surprised when they don't learn the stuff that you're apparently trying to show them? Because of course they're not, since you're not letting them actually work by not allowing them to show up regularly, and then get rid of them. Like on my last day, they were still trying to show me how to do stuff. And it's like, what was the point of that? You're just gonna throw me out. And they're so lucky I'm not one of those big, like 100,000 or million sub channels. I would do a whole expose. I'd be like, don't go to this one. You go to all the other ones. I'll go to this one. They need new management. And they're like, I can't believe he would speak so disparagingly of us. That would be like the reaction to seeing this stream. It's like, of course I am. It's like, what reaction do you expect me to have from a place that hires you just to get rid of you after less than 2 weeks worth of days of working there? Like first they starve you of actual like days to work, and then they get like surprise when you can't do stuff that you saw in your application you couldn't do. A lot of establishments are definitely run by clowns indeed. I just thought that was insane. And people are saying the same type of stuff that they say with the chicks. Oh, don't worry, you'll get another job and it'll be better. It's like, yeah, Like again, this is the kind of stuff that like just like with that gold digger being the first chick I dated, this is just kind of like analogous to that where it's that first one that leaves a bad impression. So you just like know that something bad is going to happen. Like, let's say you get hired by somewhere else. Are they going to try to get rid of you after 5 days of, I guess, not knowing your first day of not knowing how to do something? Barely gave me any hours, didn't call me for a whole week, then fired me and blamed me for not reaching, even though he said he was going to call me. Oh, that's just like that one time I applied to this other restaurant, and the manager said he would call me in a few days, and I had to keep calling him, and then he lied and said that he called me, but I didn't answer, so he hired somebody else. I was like, and I was thinking to myself, you lying prick! I have my cell phone on me all day long, and I have your number saved, so if it came up, I would have seen it, unless you called me from a block number or some other place you think you called that wasn't me. Tell you, they don't have a single ounce of honesty in their bones, man. They don't care. As long as it doesn't affect them, it doesn't matter. But yeah, that's why the last 3 days have been bad. Between a tooth popping out that I've had for a crown popping out that I have for 10 years, uh, the desk I had being broken because of these people on this stupid floor, the stomach ache that I had right before I was supposed to go to work, having a decent day at work just to get fired the next day, and then 2 hours before that, a voice actor I worked with for years quitting. I just like, oh my god. Hey, when it rains, it pours. No, when he made his like threats and all the rest of that, I didn't even bother saying anything. It's like, what's the point? Because again, when these people want to get rid of you, they will get rid of you. And to me, it just feels like there was this zigzag. Like you threaten the person on the fifth day that if they don't improve in the sixth, day, you'll fire them, and then you get rid of them. What 4 days, 4 work days later? Like it's like I don't understand. It's really just like what you get what I'm saying. I really believe they don't even know what they want. It's whatever. That's why they still have a help wanted sign in front of the place. They know they can't get away with it. So what is the incentive of them to have honesty towards others they hire? It's just like again, if you look at what was said to me and then like different stuff that happens, like what was even the point of that? Dude, you are pushing me to work even harder for myself. F all of these jobs. I am 27 and at 30, I don't want to work for anyone anymore. Yeah, listen, if I could, like I honestly would much rather prefer stuff over the computer and again stuff where you like I guess hire yourself because these places just don't give a damn and they have like these like I'm sorry, I don't see a scenario where if I was a manager and someone worked for me for again 1 week and this is their first day doing any of this type of stuff, I would get rid of them because it like if the person tells me I've never done this before, I don't see how I get like so fed up in that 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour period to throw them away. But again, these places don't care if because your life doesn't affect them, so they don't care if they screw you over. And hell, they don't even have to fire you to screw you over. They can just not schedule you to work. They didn't schedule me to work for a whole week. I was like, what is that? I'm not on a vacation. But yeah, I would love to work for myself as well. Like connection is unstable. That's really terrific. It hasn't done that in a while. Let me know if you can still hear or see me because it just said the connection was unstable. So let me know if I'm still audible. That's actually another thing where I thought, oh, maybe the internet's finally working. I saw Megumi's message just pop up. Megumi, can you hear me? Am I audible? That's another like just bad luck thing that happened. Like I actually was saying when I was talking to this person over the phone, I wouldn't be surprised if when I came back in my house today, the roof just collapses on my head or the TV goes out. So I'm not even surprised the connection was briefly unstable. That doesn't shock me at all. My manager was a lying prick. Screw that guy. Again, it's just like if it was just getting fired from there yesterday, I wouldn't even bother probably streaming. But like right before that, the voice actor that I've had for years quits on me after 2 whole months of just, don't say anything, pretend that you're actually working on the stuff that he thinks you're working on. It's just, that's douchebag stuff. But again, if you complain about this, you're the villain. That was the main reason I didn't want to do a stream on it because I just know that people can twist this into being my fault somehow. There's actually a scene, and I'm sure Banana Merchant has seen it before from Spider-Man 2. Remember at the start of the movie where his employer's like, late, always late. When I was talking to the manager at the end of my 5th day, when he made his threat at the end of the day, he said I was a nice guy. And at the start of that movie, when Peter gets threatened by his manager, the manager says he's a nice guy. So it's like it lines up, it parallels each other. Like, oh my God. It's like he got fired for not showing up to work on time. I show up to work on time every time and still, he's still not enough. Even if they know that you learned how to do multiple different things and acknowledge that they don't care. I can't wait to go back on the computer and type in, "You're late, man, always late." I mean, there was a disturbance. That's why the films, in my opinion, was always really good. That they examined why would you even want to be a superhero if it messes up every other part of your life. That's why I don't support small businesses that much. Well, this wasn't a small business. I'm only not saying their name because I don't want to give them. I don't like giving publicity to clowns. It's just really frustrating that again you do what is asked of you and it's not enough. No, but yesterday really did feel like something out of just piling up on you. Like first the VA quits, so that means that last 2 months that she didn't record the stuff was just a complete waste of time. And then like not even 2 hours later, you get a call saying you're fired. So it's just all of it piles together like this big avalanche of trash just lunging upon me. Some people shouldn't be allowed in these positions. They take pleasure in holding power over people's lives. Yeah, I just don't see a scenario where if I was in that position, I would do what they did. Like I don't understand how you can hire someone and then say you're going to train them, but then get so angry after one day of quote unquote training them that you threaten to fire them, and then retain them for a few more days just to get rid of them anyway. Just like that's why I said it seems weird. But yeah, that's very unfortunate because none of what happened was your fault. Well, someone on here will be able to twist it. God, I'm just so tired of these places. Like, and then it's even more screwed up when you consider that even in being hired, it still wasn't enough. Like, they still wouldn't give you any hours. Just even when you win, you lose somehow. That's how messed up this is. Yes, that's why I said earlier that some of these managers actually abuse their authority of power on others. Yeah, I agree. I really am sorry about that romance video. I wanted to do it this week. I still am planning on doing it this week. I'm just so tired of just again that stuff from yesterday had me not even want to do anything because I'm just oh, let's go fill out some more applications so somewhere else can hire me and then barely have me actually working and then get so pissed off after a few days as to threaten to throw me out and whatnot. Can't wait to do that again. No, that's why I didn't do a video celebrating or anything like because I had that feeling that something was off. Because again, when you are put through the ringer of being in this like perpetual state of having a bad thing happen to you where you just like don't get hired by somebody, don't get with a broad, whatever. When it looks like it's finally starting to change, you just have that gut feeling something might go wrong. This isn't as good as it appears. And sure enough, while the place did hire me, the first thing they did that was screwed up was barely scheduling me to actually work there, then threatening to get rid of me after a few days, the manager. Uh, so with those in mind, it's like I really now I understand why I don't immediately. And I that wasn't the case when I got hired that one Saturday, and I was here with my brother. We were watching Winter Soldier, and I got called by the manager about an email that he was going to send me to fill out. I had to like fill out before coming back up there the following week. I was jumping for joy. But again, when I actually came up there, I knew. It's just like with that broad that agreed to that asked me on a date. It's like you get all excited when it happens, but because you've had so many garbage experience with chicks where they say one thing and then do the opposite, you have that gut feeling. And sure enough, when after she asks you on a date and you say yes, and you think, okay, you're just going to go on a date and that's going to be the end of it. Oh, I want you to meet my parents first. I want to get to know you first. I only like you as a friend. I only said what I said because I was really confused. It just always BS every time. I've even had voice actors do that to me. Like I've actually had voice actors on websites who will sit there and ask you a whole bunch of questions about your project, how long you've been doing it, how long it's supposed to be, what stuff they're supposed, just all this different stuff, just to say that I'm interested. And it's like, what the hell? Like they really want you to write paragraphs to them just so they can say they don't want to do this. Like I think that's a complete waste of time. I guess I'm the only one that believes that though. I hope you understand what I'm saying, Megumi, that when you keep getting those like really garbage experience with places and things, you just you have that like that feeling. And again, you like with this place, right? I go up there, show up on time every time I'm asked to come up there. I to the best of, and that's why I don't feel bad because I to the best of my ability try to learn the stuff they're telling me, and it's never enough. Yes, exactly. That's natural. But I'm sure when you tell people this, sometimes they like to say you jinxed it or well, you thought stuff was going to go wrong. Very natural feeling. Yeah, and it's like, but the thing is, even if you think something, if you, oh my God, these people out here. Give me a second. Sorry, every time I stream, they start playing with their little leaf blowers. My thing is, even if you think something will happen, your pattern of thinking, if it's not aligned with your behavior, should not be something that matters. Because if you as like your behavior suggests you believe in this, right? Then again, it shouldn't matter what you think. Just like I could think if I run for office, I'm going to lose. But if I knock on everybody's door and give all these speeches and travel across the whole area I'm campaigning in, uh, you can't say, well, oh, you jinxed it because you thought that. No, you still did what someone who thinks they have a chance of winning would do. You campaigned hard, and you know you can end your campaign with pride, knowing that you did everything you thought you should do and could do. Just like with this place, you show up there every day on time. You listen to all the instructions that are given, and then because you don't learn how to do multiple things in one day, you get this target put on your back. Uh, and people expect you to not believe it's go like I again if I had been told before I started that position that the first threat to me being there would be on the fifth day and the first one where I did things in the kitchen, no less, I would have said people were joking. I would have said they were being negative because I just, again, like that's not something I would assume because I've never had someone do that to me before where after a few days they threaten to get rid of you. So that's what I think is ironic that, if I had actually thought I'd get yanked after less than 10 days of working somewhere, uh, I certainly wouldn't have done and been like trying as hard as I was to, do this stuff. It just sucks. It's all just garbage. But again, that's like I have mixed feelings because on one hand, it's lame to, be in the unemployment position again, but on the other hand, it's like, well, they already were making it to where you're barely getting anything anyway. Yeah, I just tired of this stuff. It's irritating. And then with that voice actor situation, I like how that was originally what I recorded a like 20 something minute video just talking about how stupid that whole thing was. And then this happened and it just like completely dwarfed over the other thing. Like bad news on top of bad news. It's like if that was a bad news um submarine, then getting fired was like a bad news planet. It just completely demolished it in terms of what was weighing on my mind. And that is kind of weird that the internet started acting like that because on this Wi-Fi, it usually doesn't act that way. That's why I said that it's just been bad luck after bad luck. So again, I'm not even surprised when I see that message. Person on Instagram talking about follow her friend. Her friend doesn't follow anybody else. Her friend has what is this? 2,000 followers, follows 68 people. You're supposed to follow her. Of course, you'll still need to keep applying. Yeah, just doing this over and over. The never-ending cycle continues. And then you have to hope that wherever they get you, you get an interview from, and they offer to hire you again. You have to hope that whoever it is doesn't do what these people did, where after a few days, oh, we're going to train you, and then oh, you didn't perform as well as we would have. We apparently thought someone who's never done this stuff would. Well, you better improve dramatically in your next day, or else we're going to get rid of you. And then, even if you improve on that next day, they get rid of you a few days later. That's why I said that like it doesn't. If you just think about it, that when you look at the things they said as I recounted them, I know people like to cast doubts on everything I say, but if you look at what they said and then what they did, it makes even less sense. These jobs, I believe a lot of employers are not human. They do evil stuff. They enjoy being evil. I think it's very evil to get rid of somebody after a few days and like before that starve them of any hours. Then again, due to past experience, you aren't going to be feeling so optimistic as you should. Yeah. People really think like, well, this place can just treat me like crap and I'm gonna smile the next time I get hired somewhere. What they act like there's no continuity. Like it's a whole new person, just completely ignore what happened before, just like with the chick thing. I got rejected 90 times, but I'm sure this next broad is gonna be the one that finally changes things over. I remember just every time people would say that it was wrong to like I remember one of the defenses was not all women are the same. It's like, yeah, but you have had the same experience with all the women you've spoken to. So they're gonna get that, you know, that continuity. I sure can relate. I just don't understand this at all. Like they've managed to even that's why I said even when you win, you lose. Like even when you got hired, you're like, oh, this is so great. And then after a few days, they're not actually scheduling me to work. That's kind of weird. And then after a few weeks, after 1 week rather, they're threatening to get rid of you. Oh, they're keeping you on. Oh, they're not scheduling you to work again. Oh, they're throwing you away after one final day. Oh my god. No, I was so angry like yesterday. I went for a walk just thinking about how I really tried, and I feel like I did everything I could do, and I don't see a scenario where I could have learned that stuff in 1 day or like any quicker than that. That's why I said these places they have like an unrealistic fantasy, this like bizarre set of expectations that no one can meet, and no one can meet it because if I were to go to this building and take a picture of it, you could see their help wanted sign right in the front. If these clowns aren't going to lift a finger to help you get a job, then you really shouldn't listen to them. They're just blowing smoke up on your back. So, well, that was one of the running gags that I had these people who were saying, "Don't worry, I'll help you, I'll help," and nothing. I can count the number of people that have actually looked for positions for me on one hand. I guess if you count me, then it's two. But it's like they don't even assist, and they make fun of someone for being unemployed. And then when you get something, and then like you know what I'm saying, it's just I don't trust them. I can relate to this. It feels like a convenient way to get rid of people they didn't want in the first place. Yeah, I mean, it's like you really have you there's like a accelerated attempt to throw somebody out if you're going to tell them at the end of their first week's worth of days, uh, improve dramatically, or I'm getting rid of you. And then, but this is where it doesn't make any sense. Then why would you keep that person after that next day for several more days just to like not schedule him for a whole week and then have him work one more day and then get rid of do you see where it doesn't like if I had been gotten rid of on the sixth day, I could have had a direct line of okay, they said this manager threatened me on the fifth one. He carried out his threat on the sixth one, but then they keep you for several more weeks, for several more days, and then like 2 more weeks, and then you know what I'm saying? It's like it doesn't flow together. Like there's too many little twists and turns for you to even look at it and say this adds up. Because after the sixth day, and he had like said I improved, I was under the assumption that I would be retained because why else would they keep me around for more days after the one that was supposedly going to determine my fate? So you just can't trust anything these people say. But yeah, these last couple of days, I felt really just bad, especially yesterday. And they were back to back. That was a really awful afternoon, 2 hours apart. Yeah, and I also understand why you didn't want to get your hopes up by disclosing you being hired recently for a job. Yeah, because again, when you spend a year or 2 years just hearing nothing back from people other than some interviews that go nowhere, and then someone finally says they're willing to hire you, you get that gut feeling. hmm And again, I was at the end of that second week, I felt really vindicated because I was like, okay, they're going to fire me, and then that's going to just be the end of it. But then I got retained for another 2 weeks slash 3 more days, or 4 more days rather. And then it was like, well, what was even the point of that? Stuff like this has really taught me to subvert my expectations and see things how they are. Yeah, you can't trust anything anyone says. I mean, like, look at the situation with that broad. Ask you on a date and then still somehow rejects you, gives you her phone number and her picture without you asking for it, and then still somehow rejects you. says she wants to go on a date, and then after you agree, starts talking about you need to meet her parents first. She needs to get to know you first, and she's not really into men. It's like, what the hell? I really had someone who wrote, maybe she was joking. It's like, yes, if you're joking, you're going to give someone your phone number and send them a picture of what you look like. That makes sense, and give them your personal account as well that you don't have linked on your page. Yeah, that's a pretty elaborate joke. You gotta subvert your expectations. Like I said, I'm not gonna believe I actually have a date with a broad unless we're like actually sitting in the restaurant or at a movie theater. Yeah, Gavira, if you want more information on that topic, go watch what was it called? Woman asked me on a date and then backflips. I had all the screenshots and everything. I couldn't believe it. But it's funny because that happened around the same time as me getting hired by this place. So it was like it looked for a brief moment like, oh my God, you got a woman who's asking you to go on a date and a place that's finally going to hire you after months and months and months and months and months and months of the same old trash. Things might finally be looking up, and then nope, status quo. Oh yeah, she also used her sexuality as a way to get out of a predicament she was. Yeah, she tried to say that because she was confused about her sexuality, that makes her ask people out on dates. So I said it's like a comic book. This is the status quo. The remember status quo is God, so like nothing changes. And another reason it's like a comic book are there are plot twists. Remember in the Dark Knight when what is it? Oh dear, LOL. Remember in the Dark Knight when Batman saves Rachel and you think, oh, he saved his love interest just like he did the last movie, so she's gonna live, and then she gets blown up by Joker. It's just like that. It's a plot twist. Here's a woman that asks you on a date. No woman's ever done that before. You think, oh my God, this might actually be the beginning of something, and then here's a place that hires you, and then after a few days they threaten to fire you, and then they reverse that decision, like, oh my God, okay, it looks like I'm finally gonna be able to stay here. Then they start slowly not giving you as many hours now. Here's a voice actor you worked with for 4 years. Every time she said she was gonna do something, did it. And then you give her 2 months to do something. It looks like she's gonna eventually sit down and do it. Oh man, that's one of the biggest. I want to do a video like top 10 biggest backstabbings online I've had. That's definitely going in there. Can't trust anything anybody says. Certainly, as it pertains to you, if somebody's talking about their life story, I'd be more inclined to believe it. But if they're saying you're my friend and I care so much about you, and I don't listen to them. They're lying. I can't even remember how many women said I was their friend or whatever, and then they block you after like one argument or ignore you after one argument or something. Just very quickly just throw you away. You didn't see that video, Banana? It came out last week. It had like 12 comments, including from 3 people. I really don't want to ever see comments on my stuff ever again. It just seems like everyone is a liar these days. And they love wasting people's time. Like, how psychotic do you have to be to get lines for a project, and then for 2 months the director asks you when you're going to do it, or have you done any other, you don't respond, and they have to message you 6 or 7 times for you to finally just quit. What kind of place hires somebody and then at the end of 1 week and their first day of doing stuff in the kitchen threatens to get rid of them? and then retains them after that day that they were saying was their last day, just to get rid of them after 3 more work days. And after scheduling that person to work later that week on Sunday and Monday. Nobody thinks that's weird? Okay. Who's psychotic enough to ask somebody on a date, and then when the person says yes, start talking about, I want to get to know you first and meet my parents, and I don't really like men like this, and I was just really confused, and I want to be friends, and then block them. Some chick left a goofy comment on your video. I believe she was an old viewer of your channel as well. Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about. I really despise her. She's another clown. No, a lot of the chicks that comment on this stuff tend to be just weird. Like they do things that don't make any sense. Like who would ask somebody? Whatever. I'm not gonna get into that stupid stuff. I hope she disappears. She stays gone because that's what I thought happened before. She just didn't comment on anything. Like, all right, good, go away. They leave a lot of goofy comments. I'm still gonna make fun of that chick's comment that was on James's video. Please follow my friend that doesn't follow anybody back. I beg of you. Keep on begging. Oh, I didn't even get to mention there was on Monday, there was a person who I ended up having to block because on Instagram, they asked me, "Are you dead?" because I haven't messaged them back in a few days. And then when I don't respond because it's like a really weird message, they start spamming me with emojis like in a row, just like to where your phone is buzzing and buzzing and buzzing because this person I blocked them. It's like that's annoying. Oh yes, I'm definitely looking forward to that upload. Well, I've got most of the script written. I just felt very just like garbage because of the last few days, but it's on the brink of appearing. Like I said, I take these things with a grain of salt and move on because at the end of the day, I know I'll be okay. I'm not as confident about this stuff because anytime your fate has to do with somebody else, you can't be sure of it. Hey, I was cheated on, dude. I know all about betrayal. Well, that's why I always thought that it was funny because the video's about deifying romantic relationships. And I mentioned how, when these people are telling you about the right one and all this other trash, who's to say that person doesn't cheat on you if you get into a relationship with them? And that's another one of those things that is left out by these people who want to peddle this idea that getting with a woman is so amazing and wonderful. And every time it happens, it's so great. It's just, they sell fairy tales that are better than the ones from Disney. Some of the fan fiction and stuff they write. That's why that this whole thing is like a cartoon. Like I really feel like I'm just in this comic book with its plot twists and status quo and recurring villains and crossovers. Enough fan fiction to write a novel more like. At one point I actually was thinking of doing like a little cartoon show where uh it's like an alternate universe type of, I don't want to call it a fan fiction, but it's sort of like when people make what if this person didn't die or something like that. I think that would be interesting, like more interesting than just uh you probably did this, because it would actually be me trying to be creative and come up with something. We'll write some more favorable fan fiction. No, status quo is God. That stuff, just things never change. This guy said I could talk to 400 chicks and it would still look like they're not going to go on a date. Imagine actually doing that, like just tallying up all the different chicks, like I did with the jobs, like just sitting there, like, all right, this is chick number 365. Let's see if after one brawl for every day of a year, anything changed. Oh my god. Just like with that job thing, it's like you finally get somebody to hire you, and then it's crap. Like even before you get fired, it's crap. They're talking about getting rid of you after one day of doing most of this stuff. It's not even they, it's the manager, and then like, ugh, you gotta wear this damn mask for hours, just for 4 or 5 hours. It's very uncomfortable. I'm planning on being an author. These jobs are not where it's at. Well, I hope the book sells very well. Yeah, you'll lose your sanity because you don't know who to trust. All these people say one thing and then do the other. That's why I kept like wanting to just quit doing the show because it's like it's a headache to just get these people to record stuff, even stuff that they say they're going to do. It's like really tough for them for some reason. Because when you add the frustration of doing something like that on top of the stuff with this job and it's like these chicks, it becomes very tiring. It's just too much aggravation, like I don't believe the ultimate goal of living is to just be constantly forced to do things that you don't want to do. Like who wants to talk to 90, 100, 300 chicks just to get a date? Who wants to apply to 200 jobs just to get one that doesn't throw them away like a piece of trash after a few weeks or work days? Who wants to do a show where they have to recast voice actors every couple of weeks or months because they're too lazy to read a piece of paper every couple of weeks or months, or too lazy to write an email back? Like I don't see where this stuff is appealing. And the only reason I even bother with the employment thing is it's a necessity to living. But even when you get a position, they still don't make it a necessity, as in make it actually a utility, because they won't give you any damn hours. I'm planning on doing videos of a universe that I'm working on. Uh, Make sure to post the link. I just think there's too much effort for very little result. That's the best way this can be put. Um, and it's really funny for him to just sit there and be like, "You need to learn how to do this stuff really quick," because a lot of times when he wasn't there, when the manager wasn't there, the rest of the employees were acting like they were sitting at a nail salon. Like they were talking about different stuff with the men that they were with, these chicks that were there, um, and then they're like sitting around, and maybe one or two orders will take place every 10 or 20 minutes, but outside of that, it was just like the 2 days I worked where he wasn't there, it was a completely different store. It was much more relaxed. Nobody was talking about firing someone over not knowing how to do something one day. But yeah, I guess when the clowns are out of the circus, it's a different. Or when the clown is out of the circus, it's different from how it is when he's there. No, you should have seen like the atmospheric change of like the fifth day getting threatened at the end of it. You come in the sixth day, he's not even there. Like imagine for your sixth day, you're like, okay, I got to get ready. This is my last chance because I already knew I was probably gonna get yanked anyway. Because I just don't see me doing some. See, the thing you understand is when you have a position where you can't practice with this stuff unless you're physically there, and they're telling you that after a supposedly subpar performance on your first day, you need to become this like much better employee on the second one. You're not going to undergo this like massive, huge transformation that completely woos and changes their minds on the second time you're doing this stuff. It's not going to happen, and you can't. What's the way of saying it? make it happen either because you don't have this stuff, available to you outside of when you're there. Yeah, I've just got to work on scripting and actually editing a video. Well, have fun. No, when he wasn't there, it was so much better. Like my last day was actually probably I'd say my most enjoyable one probably because he wasn't there until the like right before I left. The only person at that whole store I don't like is him. Again, since I'm a sore loser, I tend to admit to like my grievances with people if they do something to me. Because that's the problem that people do things to you and then they want to control your response to it. If I was the manager somewhere and then I fired somebody after a few days and they want to call up corporate and tell on me, um, if I hadn't fired them, that wouldn't have happened. They're supposed to like help the security of my position as I took theirs away from them. Just like if I was a bigger YouTuber, one that had like 100,000 or a million subs, I would tell you exactly where it was, and I would show the building and all that stuff. I wouldn't even care. You try to ruin somebody else's life, I think it's only fair that they do the same back to you. You'll have to sub to me if you want to see it, though. Oh wow. Let me see if I can look you up in my Gmail. Banana Merchant. Yeah, that guy that wrote the mediocre comment is in the video, by the way. He makes a cameo. Yeah, you're gonna have to post a link to your channel. I don't see the your name popping up here. Let me type in your other one, non-binary canary. Yeah, it doesn't pop up either. You probably have your subs hidden. Probably have your subs in the dark, lurking in the shadows. Dude, this has been the month of clowns. Like you can look at the period from mid-April to now. It's just been one lie after another. We got a voice actor who pretends they're gonna record stuff for 2 months, then doesn't. We have a broad who asks you on a date and then doesn't go on the date. We have a place that hires you and then tries to get rid of you after a few days. All of this just buffoonery knows no bounds. But anyways, I'm gonna get off of here. I've spoken for long enough. I might unlist the stream. I don't know. I'm just like I said, I'm tired of these places and this stuff, and it's it really sucks to like to know in your heart that you tried everything you could to make something work, but to have this like really weird, difficult set of expectations put on you. And then like for a brief period, it looks like, oh, you might have been able to curry favor, between the sixth and ninth, and then you're yanked. So here we go back to the same old crap of filling out a bunch of these papers for nothing. I look forward to it. And the sad part is, even before you got yanked, you're probably still gonna have to do this because the way they were given hours or not giving them, you'd have to have somewhere else to sustain you. Like who does that? Who has someone who says, "I want to work 40 hours a week. Let's give them 5 or 10." It's all dumb, but that's just more proof of what I said that these places don't listen. So it's been a pretty crappy last 3 days. I hope it improves. I'm not holding out hope. At the very least, I can expect to not have the same bombardment of just bad news over and over again. So, see ya.